Are you doing a recipe from your cookbook?
I am.
From December?
From December, and actually you've never had it before. I know. Sorry. However, I have made this an awful lot. I used to have a cookery demonstration
Not for
business.
me, you haven't.
No, I don't. Well, I haven't made it for you, no. Well, I don't know why, because I've done it for years, so I'm not sure. Anyway, I used to have a cookery dem business, and I used to do this an awful lot around Christmas time at the demonstrations. But I first did this recipe, and it is Elizabethan chicken with red wine, plums and orange. So it's really Christmassy. It's basically mulled chicken. It's chicken mulled in mulled wine. I mean, kind of, that's what it is. And I was doing a show called Gloria Hunnifer's Open House on Channel 5 many moons ago. Kind of like 18 years ago. And remember that film Shakespeare in Love? Shakespeare in Love was released, and they had some of the actors from it on the show, and I had to do a dish on that show because I used to do a lot of cooking on that show, which was Elizabethan, or had Elizabethan flavours. And the Elizabethans loved spice, and they loved putting things like, you know, white meat with red wine and lots of spices and fruit in dishes. It was kind of, the Tudors loved it too, and medieval English cooking had it too. So I kind of going down that line with it, and ever since I made it that time, I've made it ever since because it's so lovely, and as I said, particularly lovely around Christmas time. So that's what I'm doing. Is that right?
Mm.
Yeah. Okay, so overnight I marinated this chicken. Now these are chicken thighs. You can use chicken breasts, you can use chicken legs, you can use chicken thighs. These are skinless chicken thighs, okay? And I marinated them in red wine, okay, and raisins, orange juice, orange zest. So the juice and the zest of one large orange, red wine, and raisins. And then I added some spices: ground ginger, ground cinnamon, some cloves, whole cloves, some nutmeg, and some juniper berries. Sort of gin. Lovely. You pinch the juniper berries before you put them in, okay, just to help release. So when you squeeze that, that is gin, okay. And I'll put all the ingredients, because they're kind of like a teaspoon of this and half a teaspoon of that. I'll put it underneath this video and on my YouTube page so people can make it themselves. So that marinated overnight. So all those flavours have now done their thing inside the chicken. I've got an onion, which I've fried. Okay, large onion. This is a red onion. It doesn't actually ask for red onion in the recipe, but that's all I've got at the moment. I must get some onions. I'm just going to put the chicken, I'll do it like this, because if I put it in one, I'm going to get down my front, aren't I? You know what I'm like. So, just going to put the chicken and the red wine marinade, all of it, into this pan. Oh, it smells lovely already. Can you smell those spices? And the orange. Right, that'll do. Let's just stand back. Do the rest. That goes in. Okay. Now I'm going to put in a sprig of rosemary. And then top it all up with about 15 fluid ounces of chicken stock. Right. So you bring that up to the boil, you leave it to simmer for about 20 minutes, and then you add the plums. Another 20 minutes cooking, and then come back because I'll show you how to thicken the sauce. So it's literally as simple as that. It's the easiest dish in the world because you do all the marinating, you leave it overnight. You then just fry an onion, bung it all in, bit of stock, a bit of rosemary, leave it, let it cook, put the plums in, let it cook a bit more, and then we finish it off by thickening with a beurre manier, which is kneaded butter, which is a mixture of butter and flour, so plain flour mixed together with your fingers, and you drop it in, whisk it up, and it thickens it nicely. And it's really good when to thicken something when you don't know the exact liquid amount that's in there. Okay, you'll see what I mean. And I'm going to serve this with my lovely saffron mash as well. And saffron, obviously, big spice in Tudor, medieval, Elizabethan cooking. Really expensive then, just as expensive now. It's basically, saffron is the sex organs. It's the sex organs of a crocus, that's what it is. I've got some here, so I'm going to be using this. So I'm going to show you in a second how to do this while that's simmering, to make a gorgeous mash. So you've got this sort of pinky coloured sauce, this bright yellow mash, and the flavour, because saffron's slightly honeyed as well, and we put a little bit of honey in this at the end, just works out beautifully. It's very Christmassy. This is for my mash, for my saffron mash, because if you see in the background, that is my chicken simmering. So I have creme fraiche in here, and I've got milk. If you've got just pure double cream and milk, that's fine. We don't, so I want the creme fraiche. I'm going to bring it up to the heat, and then I'm going to put some of this saffron in, and then I'm going to leave it to steep for 10 minutes until it's lovely and bright yellow. Okay, and that's going to be added to the mashed tatties. I can get it into it. There we go. Oh, I love it. Now, think about this. You have to be quite careful. You want to have a nice bright yellow. That's why it's always good to leave it to steep. But don't use too much of it, because sometimes it can be slightly medicinal in flavour. It's the only way to describe it, but I think we're going to pretty much go for it. There we go. Bringing it up to the boil. You can see they start to bleed their yellow colour quite quickly. But come back, John. Come back, my lovely. And I'll show you how gorgeous it's going to look in a minute. I've lost my lid. Oh, there it is. This is that beautiful golden colour.
Yeah, it's like scrambled egg.
Another thing, yes, another thing about Elizabethan cookery and Tudor and medieval, they love colour. Colour was really, really important. So they dyed foods. So saffron was used an awful lot. But if you didn't have saffron, you'd use sandalwood. And then you'd make something. I do a 3-colour soup. So one soup is red, and I use tomato, even though they weren't around then. But I use tomato, and I have a green parsley soup, and I have a saffron soup, and I pour a little bit of each into a bowl, and you get this sort of 3-colour soup going on. Looks really pretty. Looks lovely. Anyway, mashed tatties. Cream. These have been seasoned, so just going to pour some of this lovely milky saffron cream and mix it in. Now, because I leave the stamens in here, I don't strain them out. This will continue to get darker, okay? Because the saffron stamens will keep working. So you'll actually, what you might also get is just around a little area like this, you'll get this sort of bleed of orange on there, which I think looks really pretty. So stir that in, and that is ready. When my chicken is ready, that will just keep warm. If you want to just keep that into a pan and reheat it later, I always just mix this milk in but leave a little bit aside. Then smooth down my potato and pour the milk over the top and just leave it like that, and then reheat it later in the pan. Little tip for you. Go now, you can go now because I've finished. Go wait for the chicken. Just try a little bit of that. Oh, that's so nice. That is just, do you know what, you can, it smells like mulled wine, so it just fills the kitchen with those lovely Christmassy spices, but there's a savoury note to it as well from the onion and the chicken, so it doesn't smell like it's a sweet, going to be an overly sweet dish, because it's not like that at all. This chicken has had 20 minutes, so all I'm going to do now is just add these plums. So these are just quartered, stoned and quartered red plums. Give them, drop one, give them 20 minutes. And then what I'm going to do is just take those out with the chicken, put them on the side, keep them warm, and we're going to thicken the sauce. That's it. See you in a moment. The beurre manier I was talking about. So it's equal quantities of butter and plain flour, and you mix it together till it gets nice and stodgy like this, and that is going to thicken this sauce. So I've taken the chicken out and the plums out because I don't want them to fall apart as I whisk. I'm going to put the heat on and then bring this up to the boil, and then I just take a little bit on my whisk and I beat it into the sauce and I thicken it. So as I said, this is ideal when you don't know how much liquid's in there, okay? How much is actual, I can't measure it, I don't want to measure it, but this is how I'm going to do it. So, bring it up to the boil, beurre manier, drop it in. I just stick it on my whisk like that. It will look a bit lumpy to start with. Don't worry, it will thicken as it comes up to the boil. And so what happens is that butter that's attached to the flour just helps emulsify the sauce and thicken it. As I said, don't worry, you'll get these little lumps, but they'll all disperse as you beat in. And it comes up to the boil and thickens. And you just do that until you have a lovely casserole thickness, okay? Not too runny, because obviously this is too runny now. You want it to coat the chicken, but don't coat it too much. You don't want big globulary thickness. You just want it to have a lovely thickness to it. So I'll have a little play. When we get to the point like that, I'll show you. Then I'm going to put the chicken back in, and that's it. We're all ready. Bit of seasoning, maybe a little bit of honey, just add a bit of sweetness, and we're ready to eat, because it's supper time, isn't it? You hungry?
Always.
Always. Man. That's how thick I want it. So it's a lovely sort of slightly coating, but not overly coating. I'm just going to tell you how delicious this is as well, because I've tasted it. Hello. Oh God, that's good. That is good. I'll describe it again in a minute. Let's just put this chicken back on the plums. Put those in. Raisins going back in as well. Did that all make it back in, John? I didn't lose any down the side.
No, it's all right.
Okay, so there we go. So that chicken now is ready. Got the plums, you got the chicken, you got all those flavours, all the raisins in there as well. I'm going to serve a little bit up. Serve a little supper. I have here the mash. Look how yellow that is. Isn't that lovely? Nice and sunny. And I know I've licked that spoon, I put it in, but it's just John and I. He doesn't mind, do you? Lick the spoon.
No, it's fine.
All right, my lovely. So, little bit of potato, and then a bit of sauce. It's just lovely, rich autumnal colours as well, aren't they? I mean, autumnal. I say winter. It's festive. It's just pretty. Just looks so lovely. You've got that lovely yellow, and then you've got this sort of pinky coloured sauce. Just works so well. And as I said, I've made this so many times over the years. I mean, the recipe, I haven't even need to tweak it. It just is lovely. It's just perfect. And the chicken sort of falls apart because it's so tender, and I do like it with chicken thighs. So let me try this first. So basically, you've got all those lovely spices. You've got the orange, you've got the plums giving a little bit of tang, red wine, rosemary, you know, that's the herb in there. And it's sweet, but it's not overly sweet. There's still such a lovely savoury element through, obviously from the salt and the pepper and the onion and the chicken. And those little raisins, they just kind of burst in your mouth. Let's try it with a bit of potato. Supper, oh my goodness, it works so well together. Supper is served. Now, I should put the recipes up for you and have a go with this too over Christmas, because it's really worth it. I think this is a lovely dish to have around Christmas time. You can have it on Christmas Day if you want, if you don't fancy the turkey, but otherwise, how about it on Christmas Eve, Boxing Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day? That is festive Christmassy loveliness.